it's right in the forefront of everybody's conversations. I think the EU is on the right track with the AI Act and the Digital Markets Act and all the different things that they're legislating in those areas. We are at the forefront of understanding responsible AI is how we're talking about it. We've been working on it. I've only been at EY for 2 years. The team that I lead had been working on it for a year before I got there. So we are talking seriously about, do you have all the rights in your contracts to actually use this data that you have in your organization, internal data, external data, third-party data, the ethical use of the data, the rights to use the data, the right for people to be forgotten, the right to opt out of model training. These are all topics that are at the forefront of our conversations right now. So it's a hot topic. Everybody's discussing it. And I think many executives are concerned about it.
Brian, thoughts on this idea of ethical considerations for AI?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the first things that people talk about when I talk to enterprise customers. And I think this is a lot of lessons learned from kind of the first generation of machine learning. And I think about that as kind of like right around the time that DeepMind was acquired by Google up until the release of ChatGPT. That was like a lot of work around computer vision, using statistical and machine learning methods for structured predictions on structured data, using a lot of supervised machine learning methods. And so there was a lot of work there during that period of time that I think people didn't consider ethics, and some folks got in trouble. And there was a lot of news articles written about this, and it was really challenging for companies to kind of get their head around it. But then now with generative AI, it is top of mind for everyone. As John was saying, like, do you have access and rights to the data? Is your model biased? What are the outputs that are coming out of these systems? Are they correct? And so it's top of mind for every executive that I speak to.
William, are you helping your customers with this topic as well as the technology and people topics?
Absolutely. I'm in those conversations that John spoke about. I think we're having them everywhere. I'm glad he brought up the AI Act, because to me, that's sort of the high watermark right now of what we need to strive towards. Not only do we have to do it if we have business in Europe, but things like that are coming around the world. So it's a good barometer for us to drive all our AI efforts towards. Also, some measure of explainability I like to have in the models that we create. Not that we can fully explain it, but we need to explain the corpus of data that's considered and what the goal is that we gave the AI and things of this nature. I think that would be a reasonable way to conquer the explainability challenge, which is right in here with all this bias and fairness topics that we're talking about. And data bias, by the way, is also really big.
Well, as I said, this is one of those questions we could do an entire segment on. Durgesh, how are you addressing the topic of ethics and responsible use with your clients?
Yeah, I think one of the top challenge that many CDOs that mention is, again, governance. How does GenAI make sure that the data doesn't leak into wrong domains? Finance data or private data doesn't get leaked into either the LLM itself or gets shown to users who should not have that access. So I think governance is something that is supremely important in this area. And then that's where we need to spend a lot of time. And again, a lot of improvements need to be made for it to be resilient.
I get to talk on panels like this and talk at conferences, and I make a joke quite often about over innovation and not having the right responsible use guidelines and having your sort of ethical journey kind of chiseled out before you start innovating with AI. And I always tell the audience that at the end of the year, all of the industry analysts take great joy in writing articles about big mistakes companies make. And the takeaway is, don't be in my end of year article, because this is a topic that's going to impact brands in a negative way. We saw it during the big data craze as people started doing new things with data, got their hands on more data. They started doing things that, got them in trouble. Dave, is this a topic that you're teaching at the university? Is this a topic that your students are consuming?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the key thing, and I want to go back to the data side, is you can't label a specific AI algorithm application as ethical or unethical. It's really about what goes into it. And as several people have said, the privacy side. So I had an example I used for teaching where a company, they didn't deploy it. They were testing it and said, oh, we get thousands of resumes, big company. What if we ran our hiring process through an AI process and see what happens? And it turned out that the reason people didn't get hired, the most likely reason people didn't get hired, was they had a lot of certificates, but no real experience, not necessarily a degree in the area or what have you. And that makes sense. But the reason people did get, most likely reason somebody did get hired was the first name of David. So aside from the fact I should apply, obviously that's not ethical. And having an HR person as part of the governance, so, somebody mentioned governance, as part of like a cross-functional committee of leaders from across the enterprise, catches that and stops it from happening and says, hey, look, domain expertise. You do not feed somebody's name into this. I mean, that's private information. That's illegal. It's not ethical. Don't do it. And it didn't happen. And so for me, recognizing there's so many domains, there's so many, you can't know everything. We can't know everything. If you have that, what did I call it? Cross-functional committee of leaders across the entire organization, then you get enough people that can evaluate these ethically challenging situations and provide guidance to it. And that's a lot of what I'm teaching is making sure it goes back. I keep feeling I go back to teamwork, but AI doesn't know what everybody does. You need to bring in people with all these various expertise.